Ladies and gentlemen, we would be ready to start when you can make yourselves comfortable. And maybe we can close the door already. So, anyone else here?
I'm going to the other one, sorry.
Yes. Як вона закривається?
Я последняя.
So, I think we're ready. So, Ima, Andreas, I would kindly invite you already over here. We should have Yulia Shevchuk online already with us. So, good morning, afternoon, wherever it is at the moment. Also to everyone who's here in the room with us today and those people who are watching us online. My name is Olena Rybak. I'm the Managing Director of EC Consulenten in Ukraine and the Vice Chair of the Board of the European-Ukrainian Energy Agency. And I'm super pleased to welcome you on our 15th Energy Day and the panel on Reconstruction and Energy Efficiency. On this first panel, we will be talking about practical implementation experience of reconstruction projects. We will be touching on case studies of how to reconstruct sustainable, efficient, build back better and faster, and how do we bring in new examples and new technologies, for example, like renewable energy technologies into more classical reconstruction projects. So renewables panel is in the other room, but they're talking about generation, and we're here talking about reconstruction. And as a person who works for the company that implements on the ground many of the reconstruction projects, I'm extremely pleased that I have here today with me three people with, I don't know, probably 60 years accumulated experience of implementing. Well, I'd roughly add 20 years per person for each one of our three speakers. And we have here with us Yulia Shevchuk from NEFCO. And I can see her on this screen, but maybe we can also see her on the big screen, so it's more. Hi, Yulia. Welcome online. Pity you couldn't join offline. With us is also Ima Khrenova-Shymkina from GSZ, the organization that implements also enormous amount of activities that I'm also looking forward to hear more about, and Andreas Helbl from TES Clean Energy Solutions, also working on the Ukrainian and international markets in the engineering sectors. And I would like to suggest that we build our panel, not in a, let's say, discussion way like we have been used to over the years. In principle, I think there is a lot of experience and a lot of thoughts and a lot of case studies that I would like to give each of our speakers 15, 17, up to 20 minutes to present and discuss, and then we will have answers for a Q&A session, and we can then further engage into a little bit of further discussion. So, yes, with this, I would like to invite Yulia Shevchuk. The floor is yours. You will be the first presenting here with us, and we're looking forward to hear about your experience in the reconstruction sector in Ukraine.
Thank you, Olena. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you, the EUEA and Olena personally, for encouragement and pushing the reforms all along, because the Energy Day clearly has its signature promoting and driving forward the essential reforms. So I'm very pleased to participate in the event. Unfortunately, I could not be present physically, but hope it will work online in the same manner. So first of all, I would like to start with one example which we recently faced at NEFCO that demonstrate how reliable and committed our municipal partners are. So one of our partner city located in the eastern Ukraine, where we worked a lot before the war, unfortunately now faces complete destruction and occupation. but the city has managed successfully repaid our loan fully just before the tragic events, just before the occupation. So this commitment clearly shows the high priority that our communities place on their responsibilities to international organizations. And now 80,000 people from these cities are IDPs trying to find some accommodation in Ukraine and abroad. And the mayor of the city is very active and committed to future recovery of the city, which he strongly believes happened after deoccupation. So we are considering a project proposal from this city for accommodation of its residents in another community. So it is a very good example of intermunicipal cooperation in this way. Next slide, please. I built my presentation around one message, basically, that rebuilding of Ukraine is impossible without the integrated approach. In my presentation, you can see some recent pictures from our projects. And the first slide is related to what is possible to achieve during the wartime based on NEFCO example. We are managing the program called Critical Infrastructure Recovery in Ukraine, funded by the EU with a budget of 46 million euro in investment grants. In this program, we are working with 12 local communities located in Kyiv region. There are quite small communities, destroyed communities, so they have a lot of challenges. And the projects are related to district heating, water and wastewater. And we have quite a good result for these circumstances, I think, because in July 2023, all grants agreements have been signed, while in July 2024, we already have 45 tenders conducted, 33 projects ongoing, and 6 projects completed. So I think it is a big thank to the whole team of NEFCO and consultant, and of course the local communities working on this program. Next slide, please. So another program which we are working on is called Housing for IDPs, also funded by the EU with 100 million euro grant. And NEFCO is a program manager. We set quite ambitious goal in this program to provide new housing for 4,000 IDPs and renovate public buildings for 5,000 IDPs. 11 cities has been selected in 9 regions located in western and central Ukraine. And we have quite good achievement for Lviv city, which is our flagship city. The contract with the contractor has been signed in November 2023, and quite soon, in December 2024, the first building is expected to be ready. Next slide, please. I would like to provide some examples and some proposals because we are requested to provide practical proposals in this event, how it is possible to achieve some results, good results during the wartime. I think that 4 key areas for reconstruction projects are very important, and all of them are related to crisis management, because this is the wartime. The first one is flexibility, but flexibility should go together with transparency, despite of any urgency due to the higher risks. Then simplicity, new operation models, and innovative solutions. And I will make for you some examples how we at NEFCO developed such approaches. Next slide, please. So the first example which we are facing right now with the city located near the border with Russia. We are developing quite technologically complicated projects in the wastewater treatment plant. And to be honest, there are more challenges in these projects which we ever had. It is impossible to forecast a number of population for proper sizing of the plant. The city is bordering with Russia. We don't know if population will be willing to return to this city. And the first procurement has been conducted and shown that none of the Ukrainian contractors have such experience. And we know from our previous extenders that there are only around 5 contractors from the Ukraine who can make such comprehensive reconstruction. So what to do? And it is unlikely that foreign companies will come because the city and respectively the projects are located quite close to the border with Russia, and the project is a bit small for them to enter this market. So we decided to switch to the pessimistic scenario quite quickly. That is to reduce the plant capacity of the plant to the most realistic scenario and to use extensive NEFCO database of contractors and invite each of them directly to participate in the procurement. And this stage is ongoing now. The next slide, please. Another example of flexibility during the wartime. As I mentioned, we have the program called IDP housing for construction of new building. And during the preparatory stage, we received around 300 expression of interest from different companies in Ukraine. But unfortunately, only up to five of them can fulfill turnover requirements, because we know that due to the war, financial conditions of the companies is deteriorating in Ukraine. So we were thinking what to do and come up with some solutions. We reduced turnover requirement for the companies quite substantially, but you know it's a risk to receive weak contractors. And we also allowed for a possibility to work without advance payment and performance band guarantees, which are quite expensive in Ukraine now. But we propose some mitigation measures to mitigate the risk. More frequent and vigilant monitoring of the contractor by the consultant. We allow it to have smaller payments without the band guarantee. That is smaller risk, means smaller risk. And also we allow it to use retention instead of the bank performance guarantee. That is retention from each payment. Of course, it takes more time for all sides, for NEFCO, city, consultant, but all our objects are under construction now, which we think quite a good result for this program. Next slide, please. Here I would like to mention another example with controlling authorities in Ukraine. I think it is one of the favorite for me and maybe Olena Rybak as well. Also, IDP housing program. The donor EU would like to construct housing with the EU quality. It means to provide decent and dignified living conditions for IDPs. It means actually more expensive housing, but also there could be savings for maintenance cost for such buildings in the future and other benefits. When this program was announced and the projects were registered, all 6 cities of the component 1 received letters from the state authority with reference to possible criminal cases, mentioning that such housing is more expensive and residential building shall be built according to the most common project in the region, with the use of traditional building materials, equipment of domestic production, and in compliance with state building regulation. And the first question which we have, do they really want any progress in Ukraine? So our cities provided good answers, well justified, and in addition, we reminded the authorities that European Council granted Ukraine candidate country status because Ukraine expressed a strong desire to link the reconstruction with reforms. And in this process, Ukraine state authorities are also expected to play a key role and support these reforms. Next slide, please. So another example is near zero energy building. We are developing this project now in Kiev region. Grant of Finland is supposed to be used for the construction of new near zero school to replace destroyed school during the occupation of Kiev region. And we have learned that school design is very regulated in Ukraine, including very large spaces. So it is anticipated that the school will have very big sport hall, active zal, and even office of the director can be quite big. But in order to achieve near zero targets, space is really very important. And it is anticipated that in our school, local normative requirements will not be fully met, as the concept of building is intentionally designed highly efficient in use of space. And we propose in our concept to use multifunctional rooms, movable division of walls in classrooms. So the school will be used just for the school and not for extra spaces. In addition, there will be high thermal insulation of walls, geothermal heating, heat recovery, and solar panels. And we understood that we could not put into operation such schools according to Ukrainian norms because we have a lot of discussion with the state expertise, for example. And so we are going to apply for a pilot status for such school in order to put into operation in EUEA, in Ukraine. But the procedures can be quite lengthy for obtaining of such status, but we hope that we will manage and this school will be constructed in the nearest future. You can see some picture from the similar school constructed in Kherson region called Green School with Finland grant as well, which was unfortunately destroyed by Russia quite recently. But this is NEFCO's project, which was quite successful. Next slide, please. So here I would like to mention more concrete and practical proposals which we developed based on our projects in Ukraine. The first one that IFI and the client can share responsibility for technical due diligence together. So I will explain what I mean here. For example, feasibility study, which is required mainly by an IFI, can be reduced because in the scope. Because it can take around up to 1 year to develop this feasibility study, and then another phase devoted to development of project design documentation, which can take also around 6 months, half a year. But we think and we use this approach for some kind of projects, for example, in public buildings, that feasibility study can be in some cases limited to the selection of technical solution and provide for concept design, which can be used further by the client. Mitigation measure for maintaining of a good project quality is to put more technical assistance resources to support of the client during design phase. We are using this approach in IDP housing program, for example. And also there should be some actions from the state expertise. They are requested to rely more on technical due diligence performed with the technical assistance funds, at least partially, and not to kill innovations from the beginning, because we have a lot of discussions with state expertise. And here I think it is very important capacity building program by donors for project design organization and state expertise, because in some cases it seems that progress is a little bit far from these organizations, and it's a lot of discussions and discrepancies with them. Next slide, please. Here I would like to tell you about application of design and build approach in the projects. It means that the contractor is responsible for design. In some cases, it can save time. And in Ukraine, this model is developing now, so cities are already aware of it, but still traditional way is more preferable when design is developed before the project implementation, and then procurement should be conducted. So as I said, that in some cases it can save time, especially when there are lack of project design organizations available in some region, in for example, in the military affected areas. But so the project developers should be ready for deviations in the budgets and solutions later. This is because the objects are often in a very bad shape due to underinvestment for decades. So when contractor comes, the real object situation can be different, and we have to make a lot of addendums, deviations, and so on. Another proposal is apply the same procurement rules for both international and local contributions in the projects. As an example, I can mention our IDP housing projects, where we used NEFCO's procurement rules for building construction and also for bombing shelter in one batch. It is possible and tested approach. And one more proposal is that the consultant can act as an intermediary agent. So this is very good for really weak municipalities, destroyed, and villages, small ones. It means that the consultant can take over partially function of the client. It means to prepare tender documentation, evaluation reports, and other important documentation instead of the client. Of course, the client should approve this documentation, but it can facilitate the project development significantly. So this advice is more suitable for fast-track projects, for example, with buildings, water, heating. Of course, all problems could not be solved in this way, but this is, in our opinion, quite a good approach and well-tested approach already in Ukraine. Next slide, please. So I would like to thank you for your attention, and we are very happy that our projects can pave the way for decades of recovery, because communities are growing together with us. They are more aware of international procurement rules, for example. And I would like to express great respect to our communities that are really reliable partners and very stress resistant. I think the cities are the best places to deliver and change the national level. Thank you for your attention, and I will be available for any questions.
Thank you, Julia. Of course, it just looks like 15 slides or so, but of course, these 15 slides are coming out of quite a few years of not so easy processes and experiences that has been made. May I ask you a quick question? How is now the level of requests and demand from the cities to NEFCO, and did it change compared to before the full-scale invasion and now? Do you get much more requests, or how are the cities needs at the moment?
Yes, we receive much more requests now. Actually, I think that we receive 1-2 requests per week from municipalities. And maybe it's a bit funny because some of them just say, we would like to send application for money to NEFCO, like they are approaching state treasury. So we are explaining them that we are working in a little bit different way. And if the programs and funding will be available, we can consider their application.
Thank you. So I'm sure there will be more questions in the room, but I would like to proceed meanwhile to our next speaker, Ima. GIZ has been also extremely active, not only during 2.5 years, but what are your key areas of activity at the moment?
No, thank you very much. First, happy to see all of you. Thank you for invitation. Thank you for Olena and your team for this excellent work. 15 years already, we have a possibility to meet each other and this in different areas, but with the circle of the best people who is caring about energy efficiency, energy, now reconstruction of Ukraine. And I would like to present a little bit what happens in GIZ right now in Ukraine, because we are tremendously working. Now GIZ Ukraine is 560 people, and it's more than 1 billion euro financing for GIZ Ukraine. It's a decentralization, it's a different kind of reform, it's a support of resilience, support of reconstruction. And our cluster energy and climate consists now 13th project and 125 million euro, 137 people who is working to deliver. And we receive, it's without additional money what we receive for winterization. So what I would like to say, Ukraine is not alone. We can see how much support we're receiving from different countries, thanks to European Union, now NEFCO, now German government, and we are also supported by Swiss government. This is why you see these 3 flags, German, Ukrainian, and Swiss. And then a lot of there are 2 challenges what we can see in Ukraine. Yes, this is reconstruction, rebuild, better, forward, faster, but also the EU accession. And this is what we are doing in our energy and climate cluster. We are concentrating our activities for these 2 main directions. And then now our climate portfolio is also growing a lot. And we have a lot of support, not just from the ministry, what's called BMZ, you heard many times about that, but also about other ministers. It's more than 5 ministers from Germany who is really using their capacity to support us. And now I would like to tell you more about the project promotion of energy efficiency and implementation of EU directives. It was classical GIZ project, a little bit bigger than usual. It's 4 components, and this project starts before the war, and then before the invasion. And the main idea was to train our authorities and business and municipalities and education institution to be ready for the EU accession. And now, unfortunately, we forced this problem with the war, and then we change a little bit our dimensions based on this 2 directions, what I said before. So we are still working on the classical approach to help EU accession. Plus, we add some activities to help Ukraine for the recovery. And you can see these 4 components. What we have, because it's really important, everything what Yulia said, it's really touching my heart, because when we are implementing the project, we see all these issues 10, 15 years, 20 years in Ukraine. And it's a repetition of the problem. And then when we create the new projects, and you know that I'm 16 years in GIZ already, so this is a new project in 2020, but it's also old project in Ukraine because we are doing the same. And then this unique combination of reforms, municipality, education, and business, it comes based on the problem what we see all the time. We need to have educated people. We need to have designers, and then now we have less than even before. And it was a lot of technical assistant capacity, and then a lot of programs what we approach in Ukraine to fulfill this gap, because we really need to have a new army of the people who know how to reconstruct, how to deal with buildings, with project documentation, with energy management on the city level. We need people who can work in the ministry, who can create and develop new legislation for us. And also the companies, I will talk about that a little bit later. So we start with 11 million, as you see, and now the budget about 30 million. And this is what I said about our approach, because we would like to complement together reconstruction and EU accession. A few words what we are doing for legislation. It's energy, we call it boost energy efficient legislation. It's a reform. First, we support to develop energy efficiency law, everything what is around. But when war starts, we first few days of the war, I received a lot of calls from the deputy minister in Ukraine, and they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm moving myself from Kyiv somewhere." And they said, "No, you should work. You should work. Go to the Germans and tell them, we need new legislation. We need new legislation because we have construction debris. And we need to solve this issue." We have a lot of stuff like that. And it was a big stimulation for me to continue, to force my German colleagues to help Ukraine, because institution stays. This was the most important part. Our ministries, our municipal governments, our universities, doctors, everyone stays and work. And this is why all Europe and other countries quickly support us, because we stay. And then we have a possibility to develop a lot of different kind of legislation for energy efficiency procurement, for thermomodernization strategy. It's a part of EU accession. And then continue with national database. Again and again, work with certification, with energy management in buildings. It's a part of our classical work. And also, unfortunately, we need to develop new legislation. Construction of temporary housing, because everyone said, we have a lot of IDPs, let's do something for them. And the Germans provide money. But how to spend this money? How to deal with local authorities? And we immediately start to develop this construction of temporary housing for people. Mechanism of application of national construction standards and construction products. We need to change it because of that. Also, a lot of you can see it with this. I'm sure you will disseminate it in the future. Then we need to have absolutely new kind of legislation because of the war. And everyone is talking, let's make a project, let's build something. And I also, 15 years ago, was on this crowd. But now I understand that we really need to spend the time and attention to work with the proper legislation. And then we also did a lot of different kind of pilot project with the national institution. And now here you can see in the photo, it's a former building of Minregion, and we did also solar panels on the Ministry of Finance. And everyone is joking. They said that is the most rich ministry in Kiev, what you would like to say? You would like to bribe them with your solar panels? I said, no, I just would like to show them that energy efficiencies exist. And then with the practical example, you can see the savings. And now they are really turn to us, and they understand the statistics, the finance, the figures. And then also, I remember the time when it was a lot of requests when our governmental institution need equipment, and we also bought a lot of equipment for the Reconstruction agency, what was developed first days of the war, also for the ministry, because they need to work everywhere. Now situation is a little bit better. And then you see it's already third slide of different legislation what was developed. And this is really important. Now we are going to the second component, what you like to hear and see, is energy efficiency municipalities. Also, you know, it was our classical work to support energy management. What is unique here, this is that we have Swiss money. And I would like to say that Swiss government also did a lot. They first reacted for our request to change a little bit the offer and what we are doing. And they first, before even Germans, they said, okay, you can use money not just for the pilot project of energy efficiency, but also for reconstruction. This helped a lot because we cannot move by ideas. We need to have all this bureaucratic stuff, and then Swiss bureaucratic, German bureaucratic, Ukrainian bureaucratic, and then to be flexible, as Yulia said, it's impossible to be flexible. You can just inspire them somehow to change their rules, but it's not so easy. And then we also developed the model then to provide direct grants to the municipalities. And then it was a few calls for the grants, 25 grants was disseminated. And we understand that with our 40, you can see, I will show you the map now first, and after that we will go back. You can see our cities, who is doing municipal energy management, who is doing municipal energy plan, with whom we are doing this demonstration project. And what first wave, 15 projects, second wave, 10 projects, and after that the wave stops, because we see that the municipalities, they really lose their capacity. They cannot propose proper projects to finance. We have money, we have municipalities, we have memorandums, we are ready to work together, but who will do it? And we found also the instrument to provide grant for the consultants, for the NGO. We never worked like that before, but also found this flexible way to support small municipalities who cannot manage the project themselves. And this is why I all the time telling about the army of the professionals, because this is I'm happy that we start before the war this work, and then we promote through the youth that if they are going to work on the district heating company or they are going to the colleges, and they can have a good career, because everyone is talking we are IT country, we are agrarian country, but we are really country of recovery, and for recovery we need hands. And this is why we have this component. You can see a lot of different information about municipalities, and this is one more example for the municipal part. This is in this picture you can see maternity house in Chernihiv. This project was implemented before the war, 5 years before the war. And then when Chernihiv was in the sewage, this building started to be like a bastion. People live there, because they have the shelter in the first basement. And then more than 140 kids was delivered in this. And then when we in 2003, we managed to go there with our country director to show how they recover and reconstruct this building. And I just opened my mouth to ask, did you follow our energy efficiency advice the next time? Or just put the energy manager, before even my question, he started to say how they create new possibility to fulfill these holes, you know, with insulation materials and how much challenges they have. And that this guy who is staying near me, this Roman, he is the energy manager on Chernihiv. We are so proud that we are together more than 10 years, and then we see how capacity developing on the city level. And this is also make me proud. This is energy management on the city level really working, and they really push even national level to proceed. And what is more important, to have more and more this kind of people for us. So we are doing a lot of different activities with educational institutions. We created also 3 energy innovation hub, and now it's for this period of time it's 7 additional university who is applied to work with us. And there was a lot of interest from the university and from the colleges. Before we have 500 VAT schools, and now it's 70 already. And we also did interesting project. For sure, it's a lot of curricula, a lot of training courses, what we are doing together. And last year, we have additional money and provide the grant for the VAT schools. Then we buy materials, and the kids themselves, the young students in VAT schools, they repair their schools. In Sumy, in Kherson, what to do? Why we should pay if it's this enough skills? And they're trying, and they did. It was a super good project. We even continued that. Ukraine again showed their resilience from the kids to the adult person. And this is our map of the VAT institution and energy innovation hubs. You can see it's really a lot of institutions and people who is standing together with us as our new generation. They will sit together soon in this hall, I suppose. And very interesting project. It's not so connected to the municipalities and education. It's support of the companies. And you probably heard we have energy efficiency in companies project before. And now it's a component of this program. And we just received confirmation of this in 2000, of this component is 2022. And what to do, how to increase energy efficiency in municipalities and the companies when war is going on. And then we decided to support and provide direct grants for the companies who is relocating or who was partially damaged. Also, if you are doing some repairment, you will do it in an efficient way. And we really disseminate a lot of grants for the more than €1 million. And then also decided to go to the more affected areas, Sumy, Kharkiv, Chernihiv that time. And if you will go to our success stories, we have energy efficiency platform. If you go and check the success stories or our Facebook page, you will see how the business SMEs, they use these small grants what they receive from Germany to repair their company, who start to bake the bread in Chernihiv because it was destroyed partially, this small company. And there's a lot of touch stories what really create our today. What I can say. I'm happy that we have a lot of results, and I'm happy that you're listening it so quietly. I'm open to the questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ima. This is, of course, incredible list of all the things that had to be done and are being done. Thank you very much for all the effort. I know you since many years are very actively engaged in the sector. I would like to proceed then maybe with Andreas before we then hit the Q&A session. And Andy, the floor is yours. There is, and the clicker. It's on.
Okay, so a lot was said already, and there is not much more to add in principle. We are who we are. We are a company that is since many years working in Ukraine, not only in Ukraine. We are in principle worldwide engineers and consultants. And we, as Julia said, we are this hub in between of financing big institutions and organizations active in Ukraine and the municipalities. So we are that ones that are trying to, to bring all these entities together and come then to technical results. We are an Austrian-based company and a Ukrainian-based company. This is EC Konsulenten and CES, and we are jointly working now since 2013, actively in Ukraine since 2006, and the main areas we're working in is energy efficiency, renewable energies, and infrastructure. So the slides that I'm presenting here are a little bit summarizing what we are actively doing at the moment, so to give also the impression that a lot is going on, and I'm very happy that we had now 2 speeches of demonstrating the progress that is happening during war times in Ukraine, because I think this is not enough demonstrated, this is not enough published, that there is a lot going on, and reconstruction is already taking place now. And of course, we are all talking about the billions, as we heard in these first panels, that are going to come and that are already parked and that are going to be invested. What else we heard here in this session now, and also in previous sessions, is the big question: how can we disperse and implement all this money that is somewhere parked if there are no resources, capacities, educated capacities available, no municipalities available that can implement or request this money from the donors. So billions are fine, but somebody has to implement the billions, and this is the big challenge that we are facing. But coming to the point of building back faster or building back better, or both, we have seen, and the examples that Julia and also Ima were presenting are very impressive. So it can be both, and it can already be now. And this is based on these projects that I'm presenting here. This is what we did in the past already, and what we are nowadays doing. So we are in energy audits. We have approximately 30 cities that we have worked in different areas, building infrastructure and so on. We have started with green building certification, which we think that is a cornerstone in building back better, and not necessarily takes longer if it is properly prepared from the early beginning and requested. We, in our projects, we in principle try to apply methods for reconstruction, methods in design that are following modern principles. We are trying to go in energy modeling, we are trying to go to develop BIM models and IFC models, so that they are available also for future and for maintenance and for serving as an example here on the market. There is the environmental and social impact assessment part and the pollutants part. Yeah, this is a very important one. Yeah? So building back faster does not mean that we can allow that we are contaminating the country with, for example, asbestos. Yeah? I think we have to set right measures at the early time. We have to identify these topics, and then we can also properly implement here. We have in the transport infrastructure 10 plus projects in roads and bridges, and buildings and industry in energy efficiency and reconstructions, approximately 80 projects. Then, one of the projects that Julia also was mentioning is the reconstruction of critical infrastructure. This is one of the example projects where we can see that reconstructing fast can only work if you have a, let's say, financing institution. In this case, it's EU money that is coming, but managed by NEFCO, where NEFCO is providing all the flexibility in all their procurement procedures, in extreme on-the-ground support with their engineers, with their technicians in preparing the projects. And we can support, and we can also they are taking communication with the municipalities, and we are from the technical point of view supporting, and in the management supporting, and bringing also these tender documents, the evaluation reports, and these topics on the ground. And in addition, of course, we are then supervising the projects so that the implementation is also aligned with the quality requirements that is requested by the international financing institutions. The result is impressive. I think this is a unique project. And since 2006, I never have faced a project where within more or less 1 year we have managed, as Julia already presented, to set out almost all tender documents for all projects. So we have 33 running projects already implemented, from scoping up until contract award within 1 year. And this in all areas, in 12 cities, and in parallel, district heating, boiler houses, water networks, wastewater treatment plants, water treatment plants, so all infrastructure areas that we can think of. And this is a speed which is only possible if you have, of course, the financial resources available, and if you have a municipality that is willing to cooperate, strongly cooperate, and if you have a donor or an implementing organization that can provide all the flexibility that is necessary. And I have to say, not all the IFIs and not all the implementing agencies are so on the ground like NEFCO or GSZ, because they are fulfilling another purpose. Yeah? They are banks, and they are acting like banks. If you have a payer or a project executing agency that is on the ground with engineers and with the staff, it works much better. And in these times, specifically, very important. The other project that Julia was also mentioning is the housing for IDPs. It's a similar concept. We have new constructions, and we have construction rehabilitation going on there. We have the first project that might be finished soon and can be open soon. All the other projects are well in their time frame. What was very important in this case, and this is a message also to all financing institutions, if you want to build back better, you can steer, or the international financing institutions can steer it through their terms of reference. What is the level of quality that you are expecting? And one of the most easiest mechanisms here is to request a building certification. Building certification is something that is in principle worldwide applied. You have different certification schemes, very sophisticated, with LEED and BREEAM or DGNB, also from Germany, or EUGNE from Austria. But you have also certificates that are only focusing, for example, on energy efficiency and renewable energy. What we did in this specific project, because it was not requested by the terms of reference, we on our own have provided a certification scheme, which is EDGE. EDGE is a well-known internationally known approved certification scheme, to show that in the same time as we are reconstructing or new constructing a building, we can also do an energy efficiency certification, which is a proof to the country, and it's approved to the European Union and approved to all the IFIs, that this project has been implemented better than the national standard. Yeah, and we are talking about 20% better in terms of energy efficiency, 20% better in terms of water consumption. This would be one of the mechanisms that could be applied to build back fast, but still better if you initiate it in the earlier time and you provide financing, of course. Then we are working since many years for the Energy Efficiency Fund, for the reconstruction of residential buildings, where we are acting like a monitoring entity. So we are verifying these investments in terms of documentation from the applicants down to the on-site inspection, if that what was these funds that were requested or the subsidies that were requested from the fund are also implemented. What was very impressive was to see that in, I would say in, Zlatko, maybe you can help, in spring, March, April 2022, IFC became very flexible in changing the program and widening it up to support the municipalities for the reconstruction of IDP housing and also for reconstruction of damaged buildings, so not only the residential sector. And also here, if you have financing institutions that can provide all this flexibility in changing their policies and rules, at the same time, of course, we also became very flexible. We said, okay, we stay within the budget, but we are changing simply our processes, and we can also adapt to the new situation. You can make it happen, and this project is working even during the wartime pretty well. One other project that we are working in is the reconstruction of urgent housing needs in 5 cities in a similar way, also implemented by NEFCO. As we can see, NEFCO is one of these implementing agencies that are very hardly working in Ukraine and on the ground. Sustainable rebuilding concepts. In these early times, of course, there was a need to define what is the future of reconstruction of individual housing, or let's say smaller multifamily houses. So we started in the very beginning also to identify concepts that are financially viable and would provide building better and fast at the early time with standard model concepts that allow easy implementation and maybe also a speed up in the design processes. Green building certification is one topic that is only as a message. We did also in the private sector for the Silpo Group, for their flagship store, also as a demonstration project. We strongly believe that building certification is one of the core elements in all the reconstruction activities in the building sector and in the new construction activities, to simply make a statement and to follow a construction until the end. The reconstruction of this building did not take longer. It was a standard reconstruction. The only thing what has been applied was in the early phase, in the design phase, to set the right measures to come to a conclusion. And the willingness, of course, of the company to do so. And then I would come up with this building back better, but maybe not faster. These are the new concepts that are on the ground. We heard a lot about renewable energies in the electricity sector, wind parks and PV. There is barely a talk about thermal energy and the support of the district heating networks. Here we are discussing biomass, cogeneration, biomass boilers. Okay, check mark, but there are also other concepts that can be applied. In principle, it's a Danish concept. It's working on large-scale solar heating plants. So it's thermal energy that is generated. Solar energy is a common technology. I think Austria was one of the from the late 70s, one of these countries that have very strongly developed towards thermal solar energy use. And here is a concept that is supported by KfW and by EBRD, the implementation of large-scale solar heating plants in combination with a seasonal storage lake. And this sounds all a little bit weird, yeah, but at the end of the day, it works. It's a Danish concept. In Denmark, they have several plants like this. I would say the Danish climatic conditions are not so favorable for such a plant, but nevertheless, it works. So it should also work in Austria. We have one development in process, feasibility process in the city of Graz. But the first one that is now in implementation is in the Western Balkans, is in Kosovo, in Pristina. The concept is relatively easy. You take solar energy from a thermal solar energy, you store it in a lake, you cover the lake with insulation material, you can generate 95 degrees in this lake, and you take this energy and shift it over to the winter season or the transfer season, yeah? October, November, December, where you can use this energy properly. When we are talking about such concepts, due to the novelty of the concepts, of course, it takes time. You have to convince a municipality, you have to convince the financing institution, you have to convince maybe the government, you have to find ways to maybe also find private investors that are going for ESCO models, which are also not easy to manage in Ukraine at this very moment. But the concept itself serves. And it's a project, as we see here in the timeline, we started in 2018. Finally, 2024, we started beginning this year with the implementation process. Yeah, so 6 years is not fast, but maybe it's better. It's a resilient technology. It's a common technology. There's not one element in this entire system, yeah, which is not known in the world. There is absorption heat pumps typically coming from Japan, China, and different other countries, or the United States. Also Europe are providing absorption heat pumps of larger size. You have solar collector fields, a large number of products available on the market, also in Ukraine. And you have a standard pond, which is earthwork like for a landfill site. So also this is nothing sophisticated, and you have insulation material that is available on the market. What we could achieve with this system, the system is directly integrated into the district heating network. It was constructed and designed to fulfill the requirements for extending the district heating services in a part of the city. We can serve with this plant approximately 20,000 people in Pristina, this extension area. And of course, you need a backup, but typically district heating networks have a certain, let's say, supply of energy. It's not applicable everywhere, we know. So far, we have presented this concept once in a city. The feedback was, this doesn't work. So we will happily further continuing with this project, and we'll finish this project, and then hopefully next year, or maybe in 2 years, I will come up with the first feedback, how it works and how good the system can be integrated. This would be new technologies that for sure take longer, but this is only takes longer not because of technology, not because of physics, in principle not because of design, it's because of the novelty. And here is the message that certain technologies that are outstanding, that are new, and I'm even talking about heat pumps of larger size, we in Europe are not yet ready to implement large-scale heating pumps in our building components in Austria and somewhere else. It needs a lot of active participation of all project participants to make it happen. So it is very difficult also to convince municipalities and to convince residential building homeowner associations to implement new technology, and this takes time. The technology itself is here, but the concept itself is not here yet implemented. in principle, this is the end. Here are some pictures of the pond, how this looks like. Ukraine has a big advantage, it has a lot of space. So typically the municipalities can implement such concepts, and the big advantage in Ukraine is that there is a district heating tradition that is much bigger than we have it in Austria, for example, or in Germany or in other Central European countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. Can we please bring back Julia to the screen so we can also see her? Hi, Julia. Here also, good. Do we have any questions already in the room? Yes, please.
I hope this works.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Rostislav Futalo. I'm chairman of the supervisory board of Ukreexim Bank, Ukrainian State Bank. And question is not about the banking, although I have many. I don't expect a satisfactory answer to this question because it's about the people and human resources in Ukraine now. In this panel, practically every speaker, and in previous panel, that was mentioned as a challenge, and it is. So may I hear from your on-ground experience, yeah? What solution, if any, do you see there? Thank you.
Who wants first?
A solution is difficult, and I would like to say that we also, how to say, Ukrainians, we are interesting people. We are finding something bad about us and try to make a big lozung about that. I remember then how this idea that everything is bad with people comes. It was a London Ukraine Recovery Conference, and somebody asked the question, and I said, oh, yes, and with people also bad. And after that, we start to develop it. I would like to say my experience with this education. A lot of people still in Ukraine, a lot of people still working and using all this educational capacity what we have. Kherson's PTU, VIT college moved to Ivano-Frankivsk. They start their educational season. They found their students in Ivano-Frankivsk for Kherson's PTU. Can you imagine? Something is growing there in the country, and if we are together will support all, then I'm sure something will grow.
Thank you. I actually had a similar, if I may extend your question just a bit. So for people is one thing, but if you're looking at projects, and I'm thinking about project cycles since at least 10 years, right? And then there is this preparation phase, there is a funding, there is design, there is construction. There are workers. Do you observe in any of the project, in any of the stages of the project, more human capacity problems in terms of competent capacities compared to other phases, right? Is it more on design or construction, or is it just people in general? Andy, yes? And then Julia, maybe you after.
In principle, the question is, we are all raising this, the fact that we are facing. We see that in construction works, we have calculated recently for our ongoing constructions, we have a dilution of work due to lack of construction workers on site of approximately 30%. So meaning you can be as fast as possible. If there are no construction workers on site, it simply gets diluted, and you have extension of 30% without considering any other problems. Yeah? So what is the solution? Honestly speaking, I do not see a solution. I only can hope that there is that this effort that is given to build up educational programs in Ukraine, vocational schools, and other mechanisms that are within Ukraine, that there is also an initiative to reach out to the international community. And from my opinion, whatever these billions are and whatever these projects are, I don't think that Ukraine can manage on its own. There will be a need for strong capacities also coming from outside. And at the moment, and I have discussed this I think today, who is interested at the moment to go to Ukraine and to work there? We have wind projects where even the supplier that is typically with their own, coming with their own staff for erecting wind parks, are not willed to come with their staff. So there must be mechanisms to also educate national construction companies, smaller scale companies to implement such works. But this is nothing that you are learning within a few months. This takes years of experience. We were talking before about Japan. Yes, Japan is providing now financing. Cool, but where are the Japanese companies that are coming and bringing in the equipment and installing it? So somebody has, there must be mechanisms also to promote certain regions of implementation, for example. I think we had the last time we had a very good presentation where we were showing, okay, what are the affected, war-affected zones and how strongly are they affected in different areas of Ukraine. I personally, if I would not hinder anybody that is willed from our company to go to Western Ukraine and implement the project. I wouldn't have any fear. If you are close there to the let's say to the Polish border, so you have a huge region, or to the Hungarian border, you can leave the country very quickly. So I would encourage also companies to have a deeper look and not only look on the Austrian or German web page stating don't travel to Ukraine. I think these were mechanisms, so the promotion to the outside. When it's coming to designers, I think there are very capable designers in Ukraine. Here could be mechanisms also in the combination with international designers. The legal requirements in Ukraine are different, but in principle, if I can design also from here for implementation in Saudi Arabia, why can I not do a design in, I don't know, in Croatia and deliver it to Ukraine? As long as I have a counterpart that is willed to cooperate in such a way. Yeah? But then we could increase here the resources. I think the weakest point at the moment, from my opinion, is construction works. And on the other hand, for national engineers, managers that have the experience, I think this cooperation between internationals and national companies, like we have built up, we at the moment, I think, employing 60 people in Ukraine with the tendency of growth. I think it is possible, and then you have already a stock of people that you can increase. But construction company, I agree. I wouldn't know where they're coming from.
You can keep this. Yulia, do you have something to add on capacities and bigger bottlenecks?
Yes, thank you. So I fully agree with Ima and Andreas. Of course, in our projects, I think the most challenge now is military conscription, what is meant here. For construction projects, for example, it is a real problem. But our projects are delayed due to this fact, but not stopped. None of them stopped yet, but of course, the forecast is quite pessimistic and quite dangerous for construction works. People don't want to travel between the regions because they are kept during this traveling by military authorities and so on, you know. Then women are engaged in more man jobs now, as we hear, for example, from utilities. But we have some kind of mitigation measures in our projects. For example, we register all our projects as international technical assistance, and this is the way for staff reservation to postpone military conscription. At least it partially solves this problem. But again, there are some problems even having this staff reservation procedure. Then, of course, each project should have maybe higher level of contingencies to be ready to cover higher salaries and so on, such kind of measures. But I agree with Andreas that time and market will remedy this situation, because potential for recovery projects and for investments in Ukraine is huge, and we see this from the great interest of other European and other countries. So let's hope for the best in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Yulia. Do we have more questions in the room? Oh, come on. Okay, we have about 10, yes?
Hi, hello. My name is Anna Pavstanyuk, company Deal Metering. We are a producer of smart meters and solutions for them. And my question is how to engage actually the private business for these innovations that they are bringing it, showing on the market, testing it, and then maybe implement in better future and better building for Ukraine. Thank you.
I would like to start because we have the project, and last year it was a special grand concourse, something like that, organized for us. And your colleague also received some support and some prize and that, because we start to think then. We know a lot of producers, we know a lot of technologies, and then, but we need to inspire them somehow. You know, probably from EBRD, they have this green vouchers program, and we also set up last year to have a look what is going on, but we are not selected startups, because startups is something what need to have some liquid to grow, and we already settled companies, and then we receive more than 200 different kind of data, and then the best one goes to the American accelerator. We have agreement with them that it would be supported. This is a very good question. I'm always thinking about that in the component of the support of the companies, because if we are talking about the development, what your bankers were absolutely right, because we need what? Security, we need people, we need coherence to be together and help and use the help what we have in the better way. Transfer this grant to investment, transfer this kind of interest to our country, to the real development of the country, you know. Just to push with each euro, we need to push to grow. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hello, Olena, NRC, Norwegian Refugee Council. I just wanted to ask what would be a solution just to everyone in the room. Then we talk about the capacities in Ukraine and existing capacities, and that we need here and now, because some of the big money is stored somewhere for later. We have actually a lot of impressive, really strong, but really small local NGOs run by women mostly in energy sector, in renewable energy sector. And they're there on the ground. And GIZ is, as mentioned, they are already supporting some of it. But how we all together could actually support them to grow? Because they have the contractors on the ground that are still going the last mile, that internationals cannot, or not going at all, not entering the countries. So what would be, you know, what could be the solution, how we can scale up their support? The access to funding is actually, I think, the biggest challenge at the moment, because a lot of companies from Europe donating them equipment, but they cannot grow their teams in order to actually be able to implement it on the ground and match. For example, then the solars in big amounts are donated, but the batteries are not. And actually the batteries are the most expensive. And in principle, it's really important that this actually backup systems that are able to run the basic services closer to the front lines where people are still living and are in need and will be in need in the coming years. Still the big investment and big development projects will come in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone has thoughts about how to integrate NGOs faster into the reconstruction? Maybe also someone in the room would have an experience on that.
Now, when we receive an increasing amount of the money for GIZ, we start to use NGOs, our reliable partners, and then we provide a lot of grants for them to implement some projects. And then you are right, because you start to talk about the woman. It also comes to my brain, but I forgot. We really need to increase the involvement of the young ladies, women, to the market. And we have a Women Energy Club, and we actively also both working together. And I see Marina represent this organization somewhere here. And a lot of training program, we also force a little bit to go to the women's direction. And then if we are talking about, we will talk about the statistics before the war. We can see that 30–40% of the young women who have a baby, they are sitting in this decreed maternity leave time till 6 years. It was really a huge amount of the people who can really work. Maybe this lady moved as a refugees right now, who was not involved in the real business. They did not lose nothing. They just took kids and goes to the safety to the European country. But also a lot of, it's a big potential to give them a good possibility to work.
Thank you, Ima. I would only briefly also say that in the end, it's again a competition for people. So whether it's NGOs or companies or construction companies who need to scale up capacities, in the end it comes down who's going to do the job, who's going to do the installation, who's going to do the design, and so on. So I think it's not about who's getting the resource. It's in the end coming to the question number one, where are these people coming from, and how to reach out to them. Did you still want to say something?
I think the main question was about how to create or where to get funds to support these NGOs. It's in principle a money question, yeah. And I'm not now expert in this, yeah, but what I heard or what I understood is that there are, of course, institutions specifically for the support of financing institutions or donors for supporting NGOs on the market. And I think even GIZ is one of them, yeah, where you can apply for funds. Yeah. But then suddenly, similar maybe also with smaller municipalities, there is also then the missing capacity how to apply for these funds. Yeah. So these programs, and we were discussing this also recently, we have this capacity lack or the capabilities strengthening need, not only for NGOs, but also at the municipality level. But the topic is the same, how to apply for grant money. And I think there is a need to work with. I think, but I cannot name them now because I don't know, yeah, but I think there are institutions that are specifically supporting in different areas NGOs or are strongly cooperating with NGOs. Yeah. There's also a representative maybe on the other panel of Greenpeace here, and you know each other, so okay, fine. But this would be, for me, the first host to go and to say, what can we do and how can we do. Yeah?
I think you mentioned exactly the crack. The small municipalities and the small NGOs are actually not part. There is a need of a bigger emphasis because they cannot apply for the funds. For example, they have to be older than 3 years. A lot of these NGOs were created in 2022. So just want to make the awareness that we need not to forget, because they are the future of Ukraine and they're going to rebuild that. Thank you.
Thank you. So, a 30-second last statement to all my 3 speakers with 60 years, I remind you, at least 60 years of accumulated experience of implementing projects in Ukraine. So, would you now rebuild Ukraine faster or better, and why? And not both, please. Faster or better, and why? 30-second closing remark. Yulia, you want to start? No pressure.
No pressure at all, as always. Yes. Okay, I vote for faster because the situation is very challenging in Ukraine, and then people need housing and infrastructure and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Ima?
I'm afraid to opposite Yulia because we are good friends many years. But Yulia, I am for the better because I know what we can do faster.
I already voted for better. I wanted to raise this question to the Kharkiv situation, which I fully understand and support, and it's needed to have heat, it's needed to have electricity. My question is, it sounds like these are temporary solutions. And I know from my house, I have a lot of temporary solutions in my house and they never get changed. So the question is, who is taking care that afterwards the better is also coming? Because there were, I don't know, 500, 600 boiler houses, containerized boiler houses. Are they then moved to another city, or are they staying there then for the next 40 years? And it will never become better.
One day will be an energy day where we will specifically do the Kharkiv case.
We donate it to another country, yes.
Thank you. Yulia, I'm with you for the faster, and everyone who stays until the evening last panel will find out why during the debate session. I would like to thank you all very much. I'm particularly proud, and I forgot to mention that in the beginning, that on this panel we have exclusively wonderful gender balance compared to the first panel, which was a complete disaster. I realized, speaking of women on the ground, but Andy, I hope you feel also not, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear audience, everyone who was listening to us online. I hereby invite you to lunch, and we will see you at 14:10 in the next panel. Thank you.